Good to see all of you all's face in the place, healthy and well. It is now winter in America. As you for the Kemites, Hamites, African Americans, so-called Negroes, it's been winter in America for a while.
Indeed.
But Ra is still shining brightly.
Indeed.
Still shining brightly. Thank you all for coming out this morning. We are in for a treat this morning. Priest Khalid Omar is our speaker for this morning. Long overdue. Long overdue. I think he maybe a little over a year now, so long overdue. Yes, yes. So I trust we'll be able to get him more on a regular basis. But he be traveling quite a bit, so I will that we're able to get him to speak and come before us more often, because his words of wisdom and understanding is needed by our people and all those who would seek understanding. All of you all, please give a healthy round of applause for Priest Khalid.
Thank you very much. For a change, I'm lost for words. I don't know how to accept that. Thank you for those gracious words, my brother. I feel like I'm a part of the family.
That you are.
I am honored to be here. Happy to again have this opportunity. I'd like to thank the Temple of Divine Understanding for allowing me this opportunity to speak to the congregation here today. I'd like to acknowledge all of the high priestesses, the high priests, the sheikhs, the imams, and ministers. And I'd like to acknowledge all of you who think that you have no title. And we'll get to that in a minute. Well, it's been a while, like the brother said, since I've lectured. I was getting ready to say had an opportunity, but that's not true. But since I've lectured. So, let us begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As I heard the high priest Peter Rowland say at the beginning of one of his lectures, I may step on some toes. But that's all right, as long as it stimulates growth and understanding. I was taught by my mentor, my genie, the high priest, a title, which is well deserved, by the way, well deserved, that one of our biggest problems as a race is that we get too emotional in the wrong way and for the wrong reasons. Let me backtrack just a little bit. The title of this essay is Emotions and Thinking. Okay? Probably need to know that up front so that it all makes sense to you. Okay? I stand to speak to you this morning But I don't intend to get you to become emotionally aroused. In the wrong way, that is. My objective is to stimulate your intellect and motivate you to study, to investigate, and to do more needed work. It was explained to me that when one becomes emotionally aroused, it tightens up the solar plexus. And that disables our ability to think correctly. The ability to think correctly is one of our biggest problems as a people. On the streets, in our homes, and in our churches. Our emotions keep us from carefully thinking through our situation. So we get mad, emotion, or overly excited, another emotion. And we fail to come up with a sensible solution to our problem, or whatever is ailing us as a people. Whether someone steps on our feet, is too slow to move at a stop sign or a stoplight, or is unjustifiably gunned down on the streets. Or even whether somebody says something that sounds downright good. We simply have a tendency to not think correctly through a situation. In our churches, let me pause it for a minute. My daughter needs to hear this. She just came in. We'll continue. We'll continue. She's heard it all before. In our churches and in our temples, there is a tendency to placate on people's emotions. That's why you have the unnecessary screaming and shouting. To keep the congregation from truly analyzing all that's being said. The congregation buys into the theatrics that are designed to entertain you and to get your dander up, but provide you with very little substance. Especially the more thought you give to it. The more thought you give to it, the less substance it provides. So think about it. They give you enough truth to get you emotionally aroused. Then they slip you a Mickey. They tell you things that are designed to make you angry, or things that sounds good to an emotional person, but doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Things like, the white man is the devil. Or, if you don't accept Jesus, you are going to hell. Very, very, very small analogies of what I'm trying to convey. But easily understood. Because if you think about it, what is the devil? You see, we haven't even carefully analyzed that yet. Yet we call people that. When you think about it even more, remember, two things can't occupy the same space at the same time. And if God is omnipresent, or omnipresent, or always present, meaning that he is everywhere always at the same time, then where is the devil? That's a lecture all its own. And maybe we'll get to that one day. And if you really think about it, there are people, many people all around the world who don't subscribe to the term Jesus, but live in harmony with the universe, better than most of us. Then there are the millions who utter the words, I accept Jesus, I believe in Buddha or Muhammad or even Amun-Ra, but they don't have a clue as to what that means. And their actions definitely don't demonstrate an understanding of a high power. And what about all those born thousands and thousands of years before the ones called Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha ever came into the world? Those whose spiritual and intellectual prowess were so highly developed that those who came later called them gods and goddesses. We must begin to think better and ask more questions. The Fahami Rasul teaches us to question everything. The stars, the skies, the trees, everything. And that's not a new concept. You can ask any scientist. Fahami's objective is to teach you to think deeper. The Fahami Rasul said in chapter 3, paragraph 11 of the Holy Fahami Gospel, that the surface and superficial faiths and beliefs which has been fostered upon us will soon be cast aside. My home phone interrupts me, right? I was on the road too. Somebody trying to get here, so I guess they must have got lost. It looks like we got a few more other people coming in the door here as we speak. So let me just kind of emphasize, where I'm going with all of this right here, and then I'll get back to the lecture because we have somebody coming in the door right now. Our children, good example. Good example. Here's what happens to our children. They question us because what? Questioning is a natural phenomenon. And they question and they question and they question. But it becomes somewhat of a burden on us. So stop asking all those questions. Stop asking all those questions. So by the time the child gets to be 11, what are they doing? Asking less questions. By the time the child gets to be 16, they're not asking any questions at all. So we must encourage investigation, not discourage it. Back to the lecture. Fahami's objective is to teach you to think deeper. I'm re-emphasizing what I just read since another brother just came in. Fahami brother, how you doing?
I'm everybody. I'm everybody.
I'm the priest. The Fahami Rasul said in chapter 3, paragraph 11, the surface and superficial faith. This is important. Anything he said, everything he said was important. The surface and superficial faiths and beliefs which has been fostered upon us will soon be cast aside for the real culture divine. Now, if I was to delve into that entire statement, that would be the only thing that we would be able to talk about today. And so I don't really have time to delve into that entire statement this morning, but it probably would last a couple of days just talking about that particular thing. That's exactly how deep it is. And that's not my subject here today. But I would like to say, what is, or ask, what is the real culture divine? Or better put, what does it mean? Something can be real, or something real can be objective or subjective. But the Webster Dictionary says it's not imagined or supposed. I beg to differ. Who that Negro think he is? Differing with the Webster Dictionary. He must think he can come up with his own definitions or something. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Just because you can't imagine it or see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. But the less you have to imagine, the more real it gets, and vice versa. I know I probably shouldn't have went down that path, but I did. So let me explain by saying this. All things must be imagined. What did Fahmy Rasul say? Imagination is the greatest gift God has made. Imaginations are thoughts, and all things physical are the manifestation of a thought. That's real. Okay, so we got the first part, real. Now let's add to it culture, divine. When you add culture to real, we begin to get more specific. Culture, all you Fahamis, you know this by heart, is education in farming, trade, and industry. It is the science of government and power, and the knowledge of law and justice. It brings order out of chaos and makes a man fit to meet his God. Fahmy Rasul. So, culture is the manifestation of those things that make a people or nation upright or correct. Which brings us now to the word divine. The word divine, again, we could be talking about something objective or subjective, depending on what level you're at. But always, certainly, something with godly qualities. When we say that something is divine, we mean that it is without fault. It is holy or complete. And that is fine. Such as divine understanding. Welcome, brother. So, I decipher the real culture divine, put all three words together, to mean simply the manifested or existence of a godly nation of people. Hamdu. Let us get back to emotions. In the book entitled Enlightenment, a book put together by High Priest Peter Ra that entails a bunch of lessons taught in the temple. Some were written by the Fahmy Rasul, peace and the blessings of the Most High be upon him. Some were written by others, such as the Adept High Sheikh Wabra Samahi and the High Priest Peter Ra. In Enlightenment, there's a chapter titled the mastermind. By the way, brother, you came just in time. You're ready to talk about the mastermind. Okay? In the mastermind, in the 4th paragraph, it says, a first step in acquiring control of oneself is to begin to control your temper. What is your temperament? Your emotions. It goes on to say, indeed, there are few people who do not lose their temper or become emotionally aroused in an opposing manner. Why are there only a few? Because others refuse to put in the required work. You see, we all have emotions. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
The key is controlling them. And that takes additional work. The paragraph goes on to explain how you can learn to become one of the few. You see, Fahami is solution-based. If your religion tells you all about your problems, but doesn't teach you to solve your problems, then what good is it? The Fahami Rasul said, it doesn't matter whether you have 1, 2, or 1,000 gods. If you can't use them to your advantage, what good are they? The way to becoming one of the few who are able to control their temper is called composing oneself, or Ali, self-development. Ali loves self-development, so that's why I'm picking on Ali. It says that develop the practice of writing down, and it works. Develop the practice of writing down every occasion when your temper flares. Keep your little notebook. When you're successful at checking your temper, you gain a point. Record both instances in your notebook, and you will be able to witness the decline in the number of times your temper flares. And you must check your temper. Using this method of recording challenges and successes, proceed against every undesirable trait that you are desirous of transmuting. So, not only does it work in controlling your anger, but it works in just about anything that you were desirous of transmuting, of changing. Record each challenge to your development and each success you have in overcoming a challenge. Cultivate an attitude of poise at all times. It is a constant effort. Don't give up. Remember, Fahami teaches you that you can make of yourself what you will. So, I stand before you with the goal that when you leave here today, you will scrutinize every word I have said. Which brings me to something else that the high priest taught. I was taught that the more a person professes to know, then the more he or she should be prepared to be questioned and be able to answer any question in a Fahami way. High priest encouraged investigation. He never shied away from it. He was taught by High Sheikh Wabra Samahi, and he was taught that being given a title in Fahami was only the beginning of your own learning at that level. And I hope that everyone in this room has a title, and that title is Fahami. And here, to prove my point, calling yourself Fahami is only the beginning of your learning in Fahami. I was taught that you have not mastered that position until you are worthy of the next position. If you master Fahami, then you have gone as far as you can go, because Fahami is infinite knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Even the Fahami never rose above the title Fahami. He was the Fahami Rasul, the Fahami prophet, but yet still Fahami. High priest taught that regardless of what title a person has or what they call themselves, the true measure is what they know and how well they express and is able to use what they know. He always said, make it practical. Reading another person's expression is good, but how well do you express your own understanding? I understand that there is no wrong Fahami thought, but there are different levels of development, and everyone is at their own. Those of you who don't already know what correct thinking is, or what a Fahami thought is, should be asking, what is correct thinking? And what does it mean by a Fahami thought? Correct thinking is thinking that gets the correct results. Good. The correct results are the results that a correct thinking person or a Fahami is seeking. Isn't that what we seek? Am I right or wrong about that? Righteousness. Imam, High Imam, Habib Dihar always taught me, righteousness is the act of being correct. The more correct you are, the more righteous you are. Think about it. Back when you was in grade school, or in school, period, the teacher used the term interchangeably. You could either have the right answer, or you could have the correct answer. The mastermind is a lesson I believe that the high priest wrote with the supervision of High Sheikh Wabra Samahi. Their highly Fahami developed ways of thinking is a testament as to what you are able to do with energetic thinking and hard work. In the lesson, The Mastermind, it states, the mastermind desires only that which is conducive to the unfoldment and advancement of itself. That sort of sounds to me like self-preservation. And so we find that self-control is the first important step in mind building. We must develop the quality of self-control in order to raise up our Fahami culture. In their present state of mental development, the men of our race demonstrate a lack of stamina, bravery, and pride of race. If you allow your emotions to run rampant, who is in control? Is that conducive to the unfoldment and advancement of self? Self-preservation? In other words, is it going to help you to take the blinders off and get you what you need? Correct results. Controlling your emotions is crucial to your thinking. The mind is where thoughts come from. Both are spiritual entities. Let us conclude by exploring just that. Where's your mind? Most people say inside the brain. Of course, me, I'm gonna ask another question. What does it look like? Nobody ever explained that. Yet, we all have one. And it has no form. But it has power. What kind of power? Power to think. A thought, what does it look like? What you see outside the mind is not a thought. What you see is the result of a thought, the manifestation of a thought. Ladies and gentlemen, gods and goddesses, everything has a presence of mind, Rasu. And it has potential and power. Remember, the most powerful things in the universe are those things that you cannot see. This is a spiritual world. So, let the spirit move you. Don't do that. Don't let the spirit move you. Sounds good, though, don't it? Let the spirit move you. You hear that? Don't let the spirit move you. The power, the real power, is when you don't let the spirit move you unless it is conducive to the unfoldment and advancement of yourself. Movement is motion. Motion is the root word of emotion. Power is when you can control the emotion so that you may become more conscious and in control of your thinking. You should move the spirit. The Fahami Rasu, peace and blessings be upon him, said it like this: will the move of your gods. Salah.